Okay, we are live. Excited for this. Welcome, Nate Zeleznick, onto the Vitality Secret podcast. I'm delighted to have you here.
Neil, it's been way too long, and it's a pleasure and honor to be here. Hello to everybody out there who's watching or listening right now. This is going to be a good show.
I can't wait for this. Nate is in the middle of reversing a brain tumor completely holistically, and this is going to be a valuable and transformational aspect for the content. So let me give you a bit of a background on Nate. Nate Zeleznick is a globally recognized keynote speaker, transformational trainer, and pioneer of the Integrated Ascension Method, IAM, a revolutionary fusion of 500-year-old Royal Indonesian energy and breathwork practices with cutting-edge neuroscience, biohacking, and frequency-based medicine. When I see frequency-based medicine, I feel like saying you had me at frequency. I love everything frequency. So Nate, good to see you again. It's been quite a few years since I saw you in February.
Yeah.
A lot's happened for you since then. Before I ask for your story, I just want to give a bit of a background on how we first met, because you have a fascinating background. We were introduced via a mutual friend, and your company that you co-founded, MP USA, Merpati Putih USA, was featured on the Superhuman documentary. And that alone is very interesting to me. And would you mind just talking just a little bit about that for a moment?
Okay. Do you mean the documentary or just the founding?
Well, just Merpati Putih, just like a quick couple of lines on that.
Sure. So back in 1999, I came across a VHS tape that showed Indonesian martial artists. And having always been interested in being a ninja and a Jedi, like a ninjedi, when I saw them being able to break steel, not just little boards, not just little bricks, but stacks of iron and steel and stone and bricks 30 feet tall, I thought that was really interesting. But then I saw people who were able to do anything that you or I do completely blindfolded. And these were special forces members. These were military people who could shoot targets, they could run through obstacle courses, they could drive cars through traffic. But the thing that really enamored me the most with it was I saw blind people who could read printed material, and their eyes were as white as a sheet. And I thought it was just fascinating. And the universe being the universe, I had been looking for my path, Neil. I'd been looking for a path with heart. I didn't want to be a credit card representative anymore. And so the next day, the universe served me up exactly what I was asking for. And I watched the blind woman almost get killed trying to cross the street in front of me. And I knew right then in my car, I have to find those Indonesian people and help her. Now, I never actually found her. However, I was able to sponsor the very first demonstrations of the Merpati Putih, or the White Dove system, which is a royal inheritance from central Indonesia, central Java. The very first demonstrations outside of Indonesia here in the United States. And they had never trained a non-Indonesian person before. But when they saw what I was willing to do to bring their message to the world, because it was at that time now starting to be a humanitarian mission to help with this vibrational sense, help people step into their superpowers, really unlock their minds, open up their hearts, and truly do the impossible and make it, instead of impossible, turn it into I'm possible. They allowed me to start training as the very first non-Indonesian in history. And soon one of my younger brothers joined me, and wouldn't you know it, there just happened to be a certified trainer who used to train the special forces in this art that lived an hour south of us. And so for years, we trained with him. And when we brought the 11th generation royal family heirs from Indonesia to Utah, they personally tested us. They trained us. They inaugurated our school as the very first outside branch of the Merpati Putih system. Out of thousands that were in Indonesia, there was only one outside, and that was ours. And for 20 years, we owned one of the largest martial arts schools and meditation academies in the United States. And everything pivoted after COVID, as it did for the entire martial arts and dance and yoga, all the industries, as we very well know. We've had deep conversations about this in the pandemic. And the thing is that everything happens for a reason. And after numerous training sabbaticals to Indonesia, learning from the greatest masters there, we were finally able to, well, I was approached by Caroline Corey, who's a dear friend of mine,
Mm,
the producer of
yeah.
Superhuman. She was not a friend of mine at the time. She just reached out to me. She has since become a dear, like almost a confidant, really.
Okay.
And she had us send in footage, and we were able to be part of that Superhuman documentary, which has really changed the world for a lot of people as far as what is possible, not just as a human doing, but as a human being. So that's a couple words about it.
I mean, we could dedicate the next hour to everything you just said
Easily,
easily.
easily.
It's mind blowing. It is superhuman. It's supernatural. It's extraordinary. I've done some training with you. That was when we saw each other in person for the first.
Yeah,
No, was that the first? I think it was the first time
yeah.
in February a few years ago. We did a weekend doing this training, combining breath work with movement, meditation, understanding us way beyond these physical bodies. And maybe that's a good segue into discussing what happened to you recently, because when I heard from you that you had a brain tumor, I knew in my heart that you were gonna, if anyone was gonna beat this, or rather heal it, or heal from it was gonna be you. And you were gonna then inspire others to do the same thing. And that's what you're doing. And you appear to have reversed a brain tumor by about 50% so far. And I'd like to obviously turn it over to you for the details. It's remarkable what you're doing. I know a few people with brain challenges right now, um, wives of friends and even close friends back in England. So it's going to be really valuable, and of course, all of our followers and listeners. So please share a little about your recent diagnosis and yeah, take us
Mm.
there.
So back in February of this year, I was co-facilitating a spiritual and breathwork retreat in Playa del Carmen down in Mexico. And something had been going on in my body that was very strange. And without getting into all the nitty-gritty details, because that would take a long time, if you could just imagine what it would be like to start losing all sensation of your skin. So during this event, we're out in the middle of the jungle. We're a long way away from any kind of medical attention. I'm in Mexico. That's a long way away from the medical attention that I would normally seek. I lost all sensation, meaning all feeling of my skin, to the point where I took a pin, stuck it in my arm. It sat there, and I went, that doesn't hurt. Well, that's obviously normal. Well, the thing is this, as soon as I got home, the next day I went into the emergency room and they did a full blood panel on me. Looked okay. It's not as good as I would like, not nearly as good as it is now. They did a chest x-ray, totally clear. Even after I smoked for many, many years and I had quit years ago, I was wondering if maybe something was there. No, looked good, clean. But then if you can just imagine what it's like to have this white-haired, very solemn neurosurgeon walk into the room and say, uh-oh, not the best bedside manner. And I was saying, uh-oh, what? And he said, Mr. Zeleznick, I need to see you in the hallway. And so my girlfriend at the time and I got up. We went out into the hallway and he took me over to a monitor and he started scrolling through these MRI slides and he stopped on one. And right there, it seemed like it was a top view. At the back of my skull, I saw this white orb about this. Well, it looked like this big, right? It's kind of like if you bite your tongue, you think you just punched a hole in the universe and it's really the size of a pinhead. It looked a lot bigger than it actually is, but maybe it was just blown up on the screen. And I was like, okay, what is that? And he said, that's not supposed to be there. That is what I would call a brain tumor. And that's when I went, uh-oh. Okay. So those people who know me know that I really don't wait and see. It's kind of like in martial arts. You get punched in the face once. You don't get punched in the face twice. You do something about it. So it didn't take very long, Neil, before that the diagnosis came out. And when he said, I think the best course of action, what we'll do right now is we're just going to wait for about 6 months and we'll do another MRI and we'll see, we'll just keep an eye on it. And I was like, oh, no, 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 no. We don't just keep an eye on this. It's not your head on the chopping block. Literally, I'm going to do something about this now. And so, having studied breath work and having studied biohacking and a lot of different things throughout the years, I hadn't really dived into specifically cancer and specifically brain tumors, specifically this type, which thank God it wasn't glioblastoma, which is the very, very aggressive kind that just like what goes right through your brain quickly. This appeared to be a glioma, a very solid mass. Now, the thing about it is, if it were, say, over here, maybe they could remove it. But where this one sits, Neil, is directly on the pons, which is in between the cerebellum and the brainstem, pushing on the fourth ventricle and pushing on the center, get this, for breathing. So there's also a much deeper lesson that a breathwork instructor, a master instructor, having taught now over 10 million people worldwide, would get a tumor right on the center for breathing? Really? Are you kidding me? There's a lot more going on here than just, oh, you just have a tumor. No, this is a lesson, which very soon it became a blessing and a lesson, because I choose to look at it that way. So I went into the deep dive. I watched all the Instagram reels and stories and okay, but I actually got into the nitty-gritty of the scientific research. Where did these come from? What can you do about it? What exacerbates them? And I started going deeply down the rabbit hole of nutrition, of biohacking, of frequency medicine, of naturopathic cures, of energetic healing, and of I would say, new frontier science. And what I found was, first of all, part of the reason why I believe that this tumor came around was unresolved trauma, issues with family members.
I was going to ask this question.
Yep. Things that I had not forgiven myself for, things that I have not forgiven my parents for, things that basically all the power, I'm going to call it my power, my real power, which for all of us, if you think about it, we have all this amazing power as an infinite, unlimited, eternal soul, and yet we hide it from ourselves in the places we don't want to look. All the shameful places, the places that we repress things, suppress things, we sometimes overexpress outwardly too much, or we distract ourselves from things. And when we have that real slap in the face that tells us, wake up, take a look at who you really are. That sometimes for those of us who are thick-headed, a little bit stubborn, maybe a whole lot of stubborn, it takes that kind of a wake-up call sometimes in order for us to actually do that. And once I did, though, it was like this massive weight just flopped right off my chest. And it was all my resentments, all my grudges, all my self-hatred, all my otherings, meaning seeing other people as other than myself or other things. This glass is actually me. It's just in disguise as a glass. It's the same thing. But when you see something as other than yourself and you separate yourself, they say no man is an island. And yet I realized then how much I was making myself an island, even with upwards now of 38,000 hours of meditation, of martial arts training, of public speaking, teaching, training, presenting, helping. I had really isolated myself. And when I threw my arms wide open and I said, I just work here, thy will be done. How is this for me? Not why did this happen?
Right.
Not even just what am I going to do about it, but
Yeah.
how is this for me? The outpouring of love, of support, of prayers, of energy healings, of donations to my GoFundMe campaign to help fuel and help really have my healing journey take place was completely not overwhelming. It was whelming, even though that means the same thing, but whelming. I hope you understand what I
Love
mean.
your.
That once
Mm,
I stepped into that place of receivership and allowed it to come to me, my heart literally was like the Grinch. I thought my heart was very open, but it grew 3 full sizes. And I literally changed almost in an instant. And that was probably within just a few days after the diagnosis. And now I've been on this track of not just healing my own brain tumor, but also looking, how can I turn this into a formula? How can I turn this into something that other people can use too? Because there are literally a couple billion people on this planet that have a chronic disease. The American Cancer Society, before the mRNA vaccine came out and gave people turbo cancers, this is before that, their stat was 1 in 2 men and 1 in 3 women will get cancer in their life. That's about 200 million people in the United States alone, Neil.
mm.
That's a whole lot of people who need real solutions and real help. And we can't be spending millions of dollars through big pharma and hospitalization on things that may work somewhat, but don't actually get to the root of the problem. And I'll
Exactly.
talk a little bit more in just a moment about what the real root might be, because it's not always just physical.
Yeah, totally. You said a lot, and there's so many
Yeah,
things I wanted to kind of zero in on. The cancer, I mean, you said something pretty big about turbo cancers and not addressing the root cause. You obviously had me at root cause because that's what
yeah.
everything I do is about, getting to the cause, not treating symptoms with drugs or surgery or anything in between. So, you've kind of already answered this question. I was going to ask you what you intuited was at the root, and you've said you believe it was trauma and trapped emotions, aka trapped emotions. Do you think there was, or do you know if there was any other toxicity there? Because I'm pretty certain you didn't take the mRNA. Is that fair? Not, yeah.
Sure. Yes.
I hope you don't mind me asking that question. And another question was going to be, do you think these had anything to do with it? But I can't imagine you're going to be holding your cell phone next to your face all the time, and I don't
No,
imagine you're wearing Bluetooth
no,
earphones either, because
no,
you're very familiar with the effects of, well, energy, given
no.
you're trained in it, and electromagnetic radiation. So it's kind of, you are an anomaly in a way, because there's no major obvious toxin. I mean, they could be heavy metals from way back when, we don't know. Maybe you've investigated it. Would
Possibly.
you would you say would you say intuitively that it's rooted in trauma?
I would say yes. And I also don't know. And
Yeah.
here's why I don't know is because I've spent a lot of time in Southeast Asia, specifically in the jungles of Indonesia, eating God knows what.
Mm.
So they're finding that a lot of tumors are actually the encapsulation by the body of parasites and parasites.
Mm. I've seen a lot of this. I've seen a lot of this footage. Interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so since that's the case, I don't really know. And since, many people have parasites, a lot of them are microscopic, maybe not a, 16-foot tapeworm, although a
Yeah.
lot of people have that too. Uh, the thing is I'm not quite sure exactly where it came from. However, I do have the very powerful intuition that it was also about me placing myself in relationships with people of the opposite sex that were not serving my highest good and not allowing me to actually truly be me, and were stifling my growth and my expression. And I became very much a people pleaser, a yes, happy wife, happy life kind of thing, where anything I could do to make them happy, which that's a fool's gambit right there, because no, you can't make anyone anything. They're either happy or they're not. You can actually provide them with pleasure, but you cannot please anyone if you think about it that way. So I think that it was actually also a cry for help for my body to get me out of a relationship, and a couple of them that were quite toxic to my heart and toxic to my mind. even though outwardly I would never have shared that. And even inwardly, I suppressed that or I repressed that from myself. It became very clear that I needed to follow my F yes. I needed to do the things that were the very best for me, that were my soul's
Mm,
calling. And I've got actually an announcement at the end of this that I wasn't even planning on making, but it's part of that F yes, that
mm,
it's about time that this is made. But I'll do that in a little bit. So everybody stay tuned.
love that.
When it comes down to the why, I think it's important to get to the root cause of the why so that you don't recreate it, but not for the purposes of blaming, not just maybe forensically. Sure. Okay, that's where it came from. But I prefer to look at it honestly, Neil, in an objective fashion rather than I did that to myself or they did that to me. No, there's no blame. Full responsibility, but zero blame because honestly, life is too short. And I can say this in all sincerity, reality from every part of my being. Life is way too short to waste our mental and our heart energy blaming anything on anyone. It's just too short.
Love
I
that.
won't.
I'm gonna do something which is going to be slightly annoying because I need to start the record on Zoom, but we're recording in two places,
Okay.
so it's okay because it is streaming and it's all good. So now we've covered some of the intuition around its cause. I'd love to go into what you have done for it because I think this is probably the main content that people are here for. How much of what you did are you able to share with us? I know you'll be restricted, but can you share some of the stuff?
I can share all of the stuff.
Okay.
I can share all of the stuff. It's just to what level of detail I can share that due to um, the regulatory agencies that have three letters that don't allow us to actually speak the truth of what's happening. I'm just going to say that.
Yeah.
So, the first thing that I started off with was I was already on a carnivore diet. So, when I talked with the person that I now am a business partner with, one of the top biochemists in the world, he said that could very well have saved your life. Stop feeding the cancer any kind of sugar,
Right.
everything. So he put me on a very strict ketogenic diet, not exactly carnivore, but keto. But it's very refined, very specific. So no more than 2 grams of carbohydrates a day. So it's essentially the Inuit or Eskimo diet of eating fat and meat. And that's about it because there's no carbs. The second thing is no more than 40 grams of carbs per day, because after about 40 grams of carbs, your body starts changing that into sugar. Most people don't know
Glu-
that.
gluconeogenesis.
Gluconeogenesis. Uh, Maybe a little bit of spinach, but absolutely no carrots, no beets, no corn, no high glycemic index anything. And that's important. But what that did is that afforded me the opportunity, just I'll talk about the diet, the nutrition first. That afforded me, first of all, endless energy, constant energy, no dips, releasing 81 pounds of fat in 6 months.
I was going to say you look remarkable. You look so different to when I saw you in February. This
Gaining
is,
15 pounds of muscle.
and so you're gaining your health as you go through cancer reversal.
Like I said,
Isn't this how it should be?
who would have thought that getting it diagnosed with a brain tumor would have been the best thing that ever happened to me?
You've said this to
Not
me on our on our messages. You're like, this is the best thing best way I've felt for so long.
exactly.
This is
Well,
one of the reasons I wanted to interview you because you were saying this is the best I have ever felt for well for a very long time anyway.
I
So
just turned 50 years old, Neil, back on July
uh,
4th, and I went into my 50th birthday healthier than I've ever been in my whole life.
you remind me. This is incredible. You remind me of a friend of mine, Marcus Devo, who's 70. He was told to go and do the standard treatments, chemo and radio, and he said, "No, that's not about the root cause. That's all going to cause harm." And he detoxified his body across every angle of health you can imagine. I supported him, other people on his team, and in 2 months, stage two lymphoma gone. And he did all of the things. And now he's quite happily praised, obviously very happy with his reversal, and his eyesight's back to 2020.
Yeah.
He's he has testosterone at 700 at 70 years old, and his pineal gland is wide open. He's having like amazing downloads, meditations are going, it's really incredible. So you're basically saying what happens when we go down the natural holistic health path and we see it for something different to how it's been presented to us over the years or since we were born, and creating new meaning ultimately, which is how I'm perceiving what you're doing and everything you've shared so far. So you look and you're clearly a lot healthier than you were before. And that was keto. By the way, when I discovered about the power of keto with cancer and cancer being, or rather, sugar being one of cancer's number one fuels, or the fuel, it makes total sense that people do keto when they get any form of cancer.
Yeah.
So that's one of the first things we can do, which is not a huge change. I mean, kind of is, but it's just logical, isn't it?
Yeah.
So with keto, what else did you do?
Yeah. So I went down and I was like, okay, so what supplements can assist this? There are so many herbs. There are so many different supplements. There are so many peptides. There are so many different vitamins and things that can really support our body's natural desire for homeostasis, which is true health and balance. As
Balance.
we know, Neil, that the body wants to be healthy. Under most conditions, it wants to be healthy, but we're constantly bombarded by pollution, by toxicity in our food, in our water, obviously the air, our waves, Wi-Fi, 5G, Bluetooth, our own minds, not taking that opportunity for sitting within ourselves and meditating and actually asking, I mean, let me ask everybody out there, when was the last time that you sat down and you actually checked in with yourself and said, hey, self, how are we? And just listened. Not meditating because you want to hear the silence of one hand clapping, you want to have an out-of-body experience, or you have your pineal gland explode. But when is the last time you actually just sat down and went, how are we? What do we need more of? What wants to be expressed through us now? How can we be more in alignment with who we're supposed to be? Most people don't ask these questions, just like the other big ones, like where did I come from? Why am I here? What is my purpose? Where am I going? Most people don't ask those questions. And if they do, it's a fleeting thing. What I could tell you this, and I'm going to get to the supplements in a moment, but what I could tell you is this, is that it's one thing to know as adults, we understand our time is limited, the clock is ticking. It's another thing to actually see the seconds hand going tick, 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 tick across the clock of your life. That kicks you in the butt in a big way. And you have a choice. Either take your health into your own hands or relegate your life and the remainder of your life to people in white coats who don't really care about you. They might have a lot of knowledge, they might have technology, but it's not them on the line. And I found that with a lot of the people in the medical profession, actually all of them, none of them treated me like they would if I was their son
Mm.
or if I was them. So with supplementation, why that's so relevant is because things like apricot seeds or berberine or EGCG or ALA or cordyceps or turkey tail, lion's mane, all these different things that we can take that really give our body this boost or activate things that are dormant in us. They're out there, and we just need to find out what they are. And it's also really important that you have someone, let's say, like myself, I'm a body code practitioner. So I can sit there and muscle test people. I do this regularly as part of my new program to help people nail down what supplements are going to be the very best for you, in what quantities, what should you take them with or not
Mm.
take them with. Because if you have two things that go in and cancel each other out, I mean, take any vitamins and then take activated charcoal at the same time, that binder is going to go in and make them pretty much ineffective. So you don't want to take certain things at certain times. So understanding, what does my body need? Not what's good for me. What does my body need right now? Being able to test that, have other master muscle testers help me with that as well. And then start doing it. And that's the most important thing. Same with the keto diet. You cannot be, well, I'm on keto diet, but with carbs. No, you can't. You can't do those two things. So the Spartans would look at what I'm doing and they would say, yep, That's a Spartan diet because I do not waver at all. I have to make that choice every single day. Do I want to have the pleasure of something that tastes good, or do I want to be alive?
Right.
Do I want to taste good? Do I want to be alive? And unfortunately, most people, they don't realize that they're making that choice unconsciously every single day to want to do something that tastes good instead of be alive. But they just don't have that warning, like the building hasn't been on fire yet, so they don't think it's a problem. But we look at the obesity epidemic, we look at the diabetes epidemic, the amount of chronic disease is it's over the moon. And it didn't used to be. And so being very clear with what I put into my body with supplementation, my food is all organic. It's grass-fed beef, grass-finished beef, all organic, no hormones, no supplements, no antibiotics. You have to, it used to just be called food. Now you actually have to hunt for it. Like not hunt for it, but you know what I mean, look for it. So that's what I would say for me has been a really big thing. And then the wizard sciences serums, which people on my
This is what
ascended
I'm most
living,
interested. Yeah.
yeah, those serums with this biochemist, he is able to do things in your body that when I take 1 teaspoon of his serum, I literally feel it working on the tumor in my brain.
No way. Wow.
My girlfriend, she had a traumatic brain injury 5 years ago in Amsterdam, crashed on her bike, smashed her head into the cement, and it damaged her brain so bad that 5 years later, when she came here to Utah, she was still at only what she would say is 50 to 55% of her brain capacity and power. After 5 years of all kinds of treatments, she went and saw this biochemist that we've been working with, the guy who shrunk my tumor. And she's been taking those serums every single day, just a couple teaspoons a day. And now, after about 4 or 5 weeks, she says she's at least 98, 99%.
Amazing. Amazing.
It's possible for us to.
Have we lost Nate? Who have we lost? Who have we? I think we've lost Nate. Damn. What a cliffhanger. I'm going to leave this going. Ah, we have you back.
Sorry about that. When I get passionate, my energy zaps Zoom. It happens all the time, no doubt. It really
Yes, happens with me
sorry
as
about
well.
that. Where did I lose you? Or where did you lose? Where did we get lost?
I think you said the meaning of life is, and then you just disappeared.
Wow. Okay. Well, that must
No.
be a good sign for everybody out there. Sit down, ask yourself, hey, self, how are we doing? What's the meaning of life? So I was
You're
then,
saying about everything being possible with you were saying the serums, the wizard scientist,
yes, good. Yeah.
and you said, yeah, the kind of
Yeah.
results your friend had, and then like 90% better or something.
Yeah. My
So,
girlfriend is incredible. Yeah.
what did you do in the world of energy? I mean, energy is everything. However,
Yes.
did you have any frequency treatments as you were doing?
Absolutely. First of all, the Merpati breath work has been a lifesaver for me.
I was going to ask about that.
Cancer is very anaerobic.
Mm.
So when you are able to raise your CO2, raise your oxygen, and just pressure inject it. Neil, you know how this goes. There's pressure in Merpati training. You pressure inject your cells with this oxygen. It really helps to kill them in a lot of ways. And I've had a lot of my students over the years claim complete reversal of cancers, even though they tried nothing else besides just Merpati breath work.
Wow.
And I can't make medical claims, but it stands to reason that if you have enough of that happen, then you're like, yeah, okay, that makes sense. Now, with that in mind, I also have had numerous rife frequency treatments.
I was going to ask, yeah, for
Yeah.
me, Lyme, it was next level.
Yeah. Yeah.
Mm.
And obviously different frequencies it would be for me, but everything is
Yeah.
vibration, information, and frequency, and all frequencies carry information, as we know.
Yes.
And so there's that. I've also had a lot of energy healing from Dr. Joe Dispenza groups, Master Cohen
Brilliant.
Chronic Healing Group, many Reiki masters, entire church congregations. These are all informing the field, and you're dropping new slides, if you will, like an overhead projector that sends up a slide. You put a slide there, it's what's projected, dropping new slides for new projections for me. So there's been a lot. And one of them has been Dr. Jeffrey Thompson, who is the founder of the Neuroacoustic Institute in
Oh,
Carlsbad, California, the founder of Scientific Sounds, one of the premier scientists and sound engineers in the world. He's one of the creators, really one of the pioneers of binaural beats and brainwave
mm,
entrainment. This guy is so good. He's actually discovered brainwave states that he got to name, the ones below delta, which most pretty much nobody knows about, but
mm.
he discovered them. And he takes people to these deeper states than you could possibly meditate to, or anybody even has binaural beats to go to. It's pretty amazing. But
Incredible.
he took the Rife frequencies and he was able to make a visual representation of them in moving mandalas so that you hear the right frequency, you feel the right frequency, and you see it. And it goes in through your eyes, through your visual pathways. It's the only time it's ever been done. And he did it.
Wow.
After 20 years on the shelf, he made the very first Kyma frequency for me. So anybody interested in that, please reach out to me. Let me know because I happen to know a guy.
Love
It's,
that. Love
it's,
that. Talking about seeing, not quite the same seeing. When I did my Lyme treatment, I looked at my live blood, my blood under a microscope, the dark field, God, I can't remember what it's called, dark field microscopy, the energy readings of blood. And beforehand, we could see the Lyme everywhere. We did one session of 30 minutes and looked at the blood again, and there was a significant change. And we were doing so many treatments stacked. I've shared some of this stuff with you offline. We did so many treatments stacked on top of the other over 3 days. And once we saw such a significant change in my blood over 30 minutes, we then did many different other frequencies, Lyme frequencies, for the next 3 hours or so. And I was basically standing by the Rife machine, meditating, couldn't obviously be on my phone because of the frequencies. And I was essentially just meditating and being present. But I was actually meditating as well. And I saw a significant change over about 3 or 4 hours. So Rife, as you most likely know, Royal Raymond Rife in the early 1930s discovered that if you can meet the frequency of the cancer, you could get rid of it.
Yep.
Boom. Obviously, he was suppressed by the certain industry, and all of these frequency machines are coming back. Bioresonance is incredible. I use one myself. We can actually measure people remotely. I've got about 110,000 frequencies in this software, and we could measure with voice and determine stressors, imbalances in the body, and then we can even treat the frequency. The purpose of this is just useful to know how we can read the body with frequency. Anyway, it's amazing. Energy, frequency, vibration. If anyone's going to use it, you're going to use it.
Yeah.
So what else did you do? Rife, you said a few other things. I mean, you said Joe Dispenza, that's huge. Someone else told me literally a few days ago that he had done remote healing sessions, or he had remote healing sessions done on him where they're the group people sending you energy. And having been to 2 of his retreats, I know exactly what you're talking about. I've done it, and that's next level stuff. And it's scientifically proven. This is what I love about the Joe Dispenza stuff. So,
Yeah.
sorry, over to you.
Yeah. No, that's beautiful. So speaking of that, so I have the cover of Dr. Joe's book tattooed on my arm. That's how big of an
I
impact
don't think you're a
it
fan of his at all.
Oh, I know Joe. I had a chance to speak with him at length about what I was doing in vibration and frequency and the Merpati Putti system. Now, that said, that is the one type, that and Kundalini, I'm not able to do because of where the brain tumor is, right at the fourth ventricle. If I pushed cerebrospinal fluid up above it, there's a strong chance that it couldn't get out, in which case it would cause brain swelling. And then that's a crack your head open, stick something in there to relieve the pressure kind of thing. And I'm like, nope. So I have to rely at this point in time on other people doing that. I'm not able to do it for myself safely. Yeah. Just an interesting tidbit. But I can do the Merpati-Putti hypoxic breath work where we pressurize the circulatory system. And instead of turning the central channel, the governing meridian, the spinal column, into this resonant field and the inductance fields that happen through that, instead, in Merpati-Putti, we do it through 60,000 miles of blood vessels. Nobody else in the world does it like we do. So, yeah, so we just make our entire self, but not the center. Can't do that part. Kind of interesting, though.
I attended the Truth About Cancer Live Symposium in 2016 in Texas, and I saw many speakers. And I'll never forget one speaker saying that the ultimate cause for illness, including cancer, is the under-oxygenation of cells. After all the toxins, the stress, the
Yeah.
trauma of deficiency, it's the under-oxygenation. And it was once explained that the cancer tumor is the uncontrolled proliferation of cells due to craving oxygen. So it makes sense that your breath work, Merpati-Putti or the Ascension Method, is so effective in saturating your cells with oxygen to allow the cells to revive again. There was one other thing I was going to say. Hypoxia. I recently learned that we stimulate new stem cells in hypoxia.
Yes.
I guess you knew that already.
Yep.
As you know, I lead Wim Hof breathing every single morning, or Monday to Friday anyway, with a group, and it's just remarkable for bringing inflammation down and saturating all of your cells with oxygen. Talking of saturating cells, this is what I was going to say. Did you do any hyperbaric oxygen?
I did a little bit, but I don't have access to it. I don't have ready access to it where it's like an hour and a half away for the nearest hyperbaric chamber that I can find. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. That's a big one as well.
However, what I do is a part of the protocol, and I'll get into this part because this is the most fascinating part. For all the biohackers out there, you're going to want to listen up to this part because it's going to blow your mind. This biochemist that I worked with and have been working with, and will work with again in about a month in Tulsa, Oklahoma, he is the co-founder of a business called Inhale. And this is water that has 7 times the natural amount of oxygen in it. So you have to open that can and pound it as fast as possible because that oxygen wants to escape quickly. But when you do that, you're getting 7 times the oxygen as a normal glass of water. And it's structured in such a way that it goes into your cells much more efficiently than water would, normal water would. So Inhale I can't recommend that enough, especially if you have cancer or if you're an athlete who wants to have more oxygen before you train. It's incredible. It's like pouring rocket fuel in your car, and all natural though, because oxygen, that's number 3 on the periodic table, right? So hydrogen, helium, oxygen. I think it's either 3 or 4, but yeah, that's really amazing to hyperoxygenate yourself. So doing those things in conjunction with one another is definitely a huge catalyst in this overall healing. But I don't feel that all of these things and all these supplements and the biohacking and the frequency medicine. I had a MRI on March 3rd, and then I had another one at the end of June. And it showed a slight decrease in the tumor size. Now, in all fairness, this tumor is it's solid. When they did the PET scan in Mexico just a few weeks ago, they said that this is a hyper solid mass in the brain, much harder than all of the gray matter surrounding it. So it's like dropping a marble in pudding, basically. So if you have a rock in a stream, it takes a lot longer to erode that rock into nothing than it does if you have leaves. So a lot of brain tumors are very gelatinous. This is not. This is seriously, it's a hard-headed. Yeah, that's me. Hard inside my headed? I guess so too. And so to have such a decrease so quickly, I really attribute it to this very revolutionary type of PPT, which is photobiomodulated plasma therapy.
I was talking about this literally yesterday with one of my clients.
Beautiful.
You go on. That's just very interesting, serendipitous.
And V cell therapy, which is very small embryonic-like stem cells. So this scientist in Tulsa, he has patented a 4 laser process that activates different, very small embryonic-like cells in your blood. He's the only one in the world that can do this and has done this. He trains numerous doctors on this, and he was nominated to be the next director of the National Cancer Institute because his technology is so next level.
Oh,
And
wow.
this is I mean, it's incredible. It's incredible. It's kind of like Star Trek, Neil. If you remember the Dr. McCoy with the tricorder, and he's like, "Meow, meow." Okay, you're healed. We call this man the miracle engineer for a reason. And that's one reason why my soul partner, my cosmic co-pilot, Jemiah, and I have become business partners with him. Because with what I do with Merpati Buddhi, with the fitness, with the oxygenation, the inner power, the meditation, the stress relief, all those things, coupled with what Jemiah does, and she, for the past 12 years, she's been a professional shaman in the Q'ero lineage out of Peru. No plant
Mm.
medicine, just this is pure energy, divine medicine in the center point reset, which, if you've never heard of that, in some shamanic lineages and also in chiropractics, they call it the assemblage point. What this is if you can imagine, the Earth has a north and south pole, and we have this electromagnetic field that goes out of the top and into the bottom of the pole, right? And vice versa. And that protects us from the solar radiation and other things, of course. Well, our body has that as well. We have poles.
Mm.
And most everyone, their poles, instead of being in the center of their chest, going through and out the back and around the front or the front and back, they've shifted. So maybe one's up here and one's down here.
Oh,
And
wow.
if you could just imagine for a second, everybody out there, imagine what would happen if the North Pole and South Pole shifted by 40 degrees in, say, a day. What would
Wow.
happen? Volcanoes, tsunamis, currents would change, all the weather patterns would change, birds would freak out. I mean, it would be Armageddon. Most people don't understand that their poles are out of alignment. And no matter what you do, it could be the right nutrition, supplementation, prayer, thoughts, Dr. Joe, if your poles are out of alignment, you're still not going to be in harmony. But she is able, in usually about a half hour or so, even remotely, able to shift those back where people, one of her clients, 33 years of addiction, she didn't even know this, did a center point reset. He emailed her 2 months later. He's like, that one session changed my life. My addiction stopped that day. I haven't even thought about it since that time.
Wow.
People with years of depression, happy as the lark after that. It's incredible. So Marpati Putti breath work in my integrated ascension method training with center point reset, coupled with this PPT training or PPT treatment for people that I'll say for her, it was a TBI. For my mom, it was the arthritis in her back. On our website, the Green Beret, who had debilitating pain every single day, all the time. His pain went away completely during his treatment. He's full on telling you, after years of jumping out of planes, hitting the ground, big rucksack runs, my body, it would bring me to my knees. The pain was so bad. This is a Green Beret, Special Forces
Mm.
soldier.
Damn.
And within the treatment, he has not had any, like within a 2 hour treatment, his pain went away, has not come back after months. So it's things like this that, I mean, some of the things that I just really can't talk about, but I'll just say this. For the people that have a chronic condition that you're healing through, I don't say suffering from, I don't say fighting, because if you
So, yeah,
fight, you get
nothing
resistance.
to
That's
fight. Yeah.
force. I want to deal with everything with power and with love
Mm.
that you're healing through. Please reach out. So some of the things that I would love to talk to people about, I don't know if we can help them or not. There's no such thing as a miracle cure for everybody. There's there's not, but anybody, if they are healing through cancer, heart disease, diabetes, Alzheimer's, Hashimoto's, kidney issues, if you're healing through one of those things, we would love to talk to you about helping you address the root through body code sessions through me, as
Mm.
well as Marpati Putti Breathwork, which is on my app, which people get when they're part of the Ascended Living program, Jemiah Centerpoint Reset, and see what we could do when it comes to the PPT treatment. Who knows? We don't know. But what I do know is this, Neil. Life is for living. It's not meant for suffering through. And there are ways that you can find balance and well-being again. Maybe we have the way,
Mm.
maybe we don't. I don't know. But you don't know until you ask, because having the right answers is smart, but having the right question, that's genius. So as long as we are curious and we start asking those right questions, it's like in the Bible, it says, ask and ye shall receive. If you don't ask, you don't receive. So I'm here. If people are willing to ask, I'm definitely can't say I have all the answers, but maybe it is the answer.
Love that. Love that, Nate. What just came to mind as you were saying that is, what would you say to people who are showing resistance to anything that isn't the Western medication and drug industry? And I'm using these terms usefully or
Yeah.
carefully, mindfully. There are so many options, and I don't use the word alternative health. That's a misnomer
Yeah.
since the Rockefeller
Oh,
destruction of natural medicine in 1910. I never
yeah.
use that term. It makes me cringe. So,
Yeah.
what would you say to people who are resisting exploring natural treatment methods?
Yeah. So in that, I would ask you to ask the question, what is real? I would like, I mean, that's just an honest to God and a question. What is real? Let me tell you what the stats say is real. And if you don't believe me, go ask ChatGPT, look it up online. In America, the main causes of death by in order of what causes death, first is heart disease, second is cancer, third is iatrogenic, fourth, doesn't matter what gets to fourth, that iatrogenic. Most people don't know what that means, but that means
Medical
medical
error.
error.
Medical error.
So
Sorry, I just
the
interrupted as you were saying it. Yeah.
medical does not mean health.
Mm.
Medical does not mean health. They're not synonymous. It's like I've heard it said that I think it was Dave Asprey that said um, you don't have a shortage of serotonin reuptake
Right.
inhibitors. You don't have a shortage of it.
I
Like you
say,
don't,
yeah. I say
you know,
the body doesn't get sick because of a pharmaceutical drug deficiency. That's not why
right?
the body gets sick.
No,
So
no.
that's 115 years of programming.
Exactly. Well,
So
it's not that some of those don't work and some of those
yeah,
are
yeah,
not
that's a good
great.
point.
They
Yeah.
for sure are. But when you look at, and I read this stat about 15 years ago, they said that there are an average of 8 medications that are recalled off the market every single month.
Mm. Yeah.
Because when you've got things like fen back in the 90s causing atrial valve destruction and people getting sick and dying, Vioxx killing over 60,000 people. I mean, these are things that you ask your doctor if death is right for you. Well,
Right.
it's right for anybody, but a lot of the time people just relegate and they abdicate their own responsibility to themselves, to their families, to their lives, to people that they feel have a diploma on a wall. But those people never even took nutrition. And thank God RFK is making it mandatory now that doctors
Yeah.
actually take nutrition courses. How cool is that? But up
Incredible.
until now, you knew as much or more than your doctor did about nutrition. And like Hippocrates said, let food be thy medicine and medicine be thy food.
Yeah.
It's there. And even with all of the pesticides, herbicides, fungicides, GMOs, glyphosate, all the things that are still there, it is possible to find clean food. You just have to look for it. And it's once again, do I want the convenience and the good taste? Do I want to live? And once you make that decision, I want to live, and you realize that your food is your fuel, it's not your friend.
Yeah.
It's
Right.
not your friend, it's your fuel. And if you treat it like
Probably
that, then
both.
you'll look for ways to always put the highest octane, cleanest gas in your vehicle as possible, rather than putting the low octane uh, biodiesel, but petrochemical or what? No, of course they're all petrochemical, but putting oil and putting sugar in your gas. You don't put oil and you don't put sugar in your gas, and yet we eat seed oils, which do really bad things to our body. We don't check those labels. We take in all these chemicals, a lot of which don't even have to be put on the packaging, and they don't have any clue what they are or what they do long term. So once I made that decision, Neil, that was a huge step for me, is the PPT treatments are the thing that has shrunk the tumor. But that didn't shrink my weight. It didn't make it so that I went from complete hypertension back in January of this year to today when they took my blood as I was at the neurologist's office and it came out 122/79. They didn't make it so that my hematocrit, the PPT treatment didn't make it so that my hematocrit, when I'd go donate blood, was at 19.5 and the cutoff is at 20 and you can't donate blood because your hematocrit's so high, to being 13.7 yesterday when I
Nice.
donated blood.
Nice.
It's a combination of all of these
Yeah.
things. So that's what we do with Ascended Living, is give people this roadmap of things that they can do to actually make a difference for the entire part. But once again, it comes down to the root cause, which once we get to that part, that's where it gets really juicy. Because if you have a scab that's healing over and you just keep scratching it over and over, you can have the best healing in the world, but you haven't fixed the scratch that is causing your injury. And once you do that, everything can actually heal.
Beautiful. Yeah. And a lot of magic happens once we do the root cause investigation. There's like all these doors start opening up. Everyone I know who works in holistic health or has been through a journey of reversing the incurable, all of these incredible doors open up to them that they never knew even existed. So that's why it's often called a wake-up call, because it leads to an awakening. And then we start discovering all this magic. Like you were saying at the beginning of the podcast, people driving go-karts with their eyes closed, using their third eye. That's not in the mainstream media. We have to find this stuff. And the way I perceive it is, once we go through the holistic health path, it is like it's a transformation, because we go from a very limited way of thinking, which is a societal way of living, to expansion and doors opening. And that's a good segue into asking about what you're currently offering people, because expansion is what you're offering. So actually, before I ask that, I'm going to ask you your number one vitality secret, because I always ask my guests this question. What is your number one? You can't pick any more. It just has to be one. I bet I can guess it. What is your number one vitality secret?
Presence.
Okay, I didn't guess that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Honestly, yeah, the presence of being right here, right now, taking a nice full breath in and breathing out and being right here within yourself. The reason why that's the vitality secret is because everything else is either what you've done in the past to build your muscles, or in the future of what you want to have happen. But right here is all that actually exists. It's right here, right now. And if you're 100% vital in the here and now, you'll be vital in the future. But if you keep waiting for vitality by taking whatever vitamin supplement, new contraption for then, you're missing out on this present moment.
You remind me of one of my favorite sayings. If you have one foot in the past and one foot in the future, you're in the perfect stance to crap on the present.
Oh, I love that.
You're welcome. I expect you
I'm
to be using
stealing that.
The man of many sayings.
I love it. That's awesome. I love it. That's great.
So how can people find you?
So the very best way is to scan this QR code right here. You
How
can
well
either scan
prepared?
this on your
You're putting me
phone.
to shame.
What's that?
How well prepared? You're putting me to shame. I love
I don't think anything puts Neil to shame. Not at all. The other way is to actually go onto my personal digital site, which is natez360.com. So NATEZ, like Zulu, 360.com. Right there, you're going to have it pop up with a banner that says Ascended Living. Click on that. That's going to open a new window. Then you'll be able to save me on one window. You'll be able to save all my information. You can reach out to me on WhatsApp. You can schedule a one-on-one call, see all these videos, get a free gift of breath work and literally the perfect breath for the nervous system that leads you right through it. You'll have it forever. But then check out the Ascended Living program, especially if you or anybody else you know has a chronic condition that is not, I'll say, what you prefer, and you would like to feel maybe better than you ever have before, but at least as good as you ever did at your best. That's not a promise, but that's our goal. And when you go to Ascended Living, and that's the website is long. It's iampure.energy/ascended living. Just click on the button. That'll take you right there. Then when you take a look at what we're offering, if that really speaks to you and you're like, yes, I want that. I want more vitality. I want to feel good. I want one-on-one sessions and I want to be handheld through this difficult time. I want to have a treatment that has been a miracle for many, many people. Then reach out and let us know. You can inquire, but the best thing is to schedule a one-on-one intake call with my team. And we have to evaluate every single person who goes into this program. It is not just hey, $79 book and get this. No, this is about life or life. And we take it very seriously. So that means that anybody who comes into our program, we want to know where they're at. We want to know where you're at so that we can see how we can best do this for you. There's a saying that when an old man dies, an entire library burns to the ground. That's not going to happen with me. I've lived many lifetimes, and in fact, I'm working on my memoir right now. And as I go through the chapters, I'm like, holy crap, this is like Lord of the Rings type epic stuff, from near-death experiences, near suicide, pioneering things, jungle adventures, running over volcanoes in the dark, now winning and healing with cancer, and what other people would call a life-threatening. And I consider it, for me, my biggest blessing and the biggest life boost that I've ever had. And to be able to share that with people, that's why I'm here. That's why I'm here.
Beautiful, Nate. Love that. Thank you for all of your inspiration. Thank you for proving my intuition correct. I knew you were going to do this. I had no shadow of doubt.
Yeah.
And you're going to continue to shrink the other 50%, of course. Is it worth anyone mentioning my name for some kind of discount? I should have just asked you this beforehand. I didn't even think about it. But if they get me, there might be a little friendly discount.
Unfortunately, no. With this, since a lot of it is hard goods, it's actual. It's not just, this one, we actually have to pay for the PPT treatment. So that's a set price. So I apologize, but no. What I can tell you though, is that for any of our programs, it'll be a half to an eighth what you would get for, say, a stem cell treatment from a doctor. It's so affordable. We've actually made it so that pretty much anybody, and with payment plans, they can get the help that they need. We really made sure that we can do this for the people who need it. Beautiful. Yeah.
Amazing, Nate. Congratulations. Thank you for sharing your journey with us all. And I'm definitely going to send this to a few people I know right now.
Thank you.
So thank you so much. Any other last words before we conclude?
Well, I just want to offer my appreciation and thanks and love to you, Neil. It's been such an honor and pleasure getting to know you these past few years. And thank you so much for all of your support and your healing energy and your positive energy. And I knew I had this all along too, and I still know I've got this. And for everybody who's out there, I hope that you have an amazing day on purpose. Not on accident, but on purpose, because you choose to have one. And however we can help, we're here to help. And once again, all the love and power to you, everybody out there. All the love and power to you too, Neil. Thank you again, brother.
Thank you, Nate. It's been a pleasure. Thank you.
Thank you for listening to the Vitality Secret podcast. If you liked this, please leave a 5-star rating. And if you loved it, please take a few minutes to leave a review. The more ratings and reviews that are left, the easier it is for this life-changing information to get into the hands of people who need it. Take your vitality to the next level at vitalitysecret.com.